Can you save it? Can you save a marriage? Let me know if you think you can save a marriage. I asked that question because today I heard a podcast of a couple that was married for 38 years. And the wife called up very emotionally burnt out. And she said, I resent my husband. I resent him because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but we focused on his business. His business almost went bankrupt. They went $1 million in debt. They paid off almost all the debt. But after this coronavirus, it's causing his business to suffer again. And she just feels like all the emotional energy and time that she wasted in her life is gone. And she blames him for living a life that she didn't really want to live. You know, because you can only really chase or go after one dream at a time. You know, and that takes a lot of energy, focus, and resources. So in a relationship, which I often talk about on this channel, even though I love being single and I promote it for me, but I talk about relationships because it's the number one cause of stress. And for my younger people out there, middle-aged or even elderly people, because this lady was 38 years old, she was elderly. She was married for 38 years. You have to, look, the bottom line was this therapist gave this lady some long-winded advice, like sit down, write him a letter, talk to him about your feelings, blah, blah, blah. And I always like to tell you guys, look, if you're in any situation, a marriage, a relationship, anything that, look, you're done with it. You can't save it. Once you have mentally, emotionally checked out of something, in my opinion, you can't check back in. You know what I mean? You can live through misery, you know, like you can do jail time, but mentally you've checked out. You only have so much emotional energy during the course of the day. And if you have resentment in your spirit, your best life is impossible. Because what happens is, and this is what she kept talking about, resentment. You can't do enough talking. You can't do enough therapy to get rid of resentment. Resentment is a feeling that a person ruined your life, ruined your day, and you can't coexist with them in order for you to do the things you want to do. It's always a caution to me, like when you can't get out of something, you know. You know, marriage is a big commitment. You know, buying a house is a big commitment. I don't like commitments, but I've only learned that through time, okay, through different experiences of my life and observations through my friends, my family. My parents got a divorce. Great to see you, Free to Be Me. Ballin' Thug, my member, what's up, man? Great to see you. How are the 9 watching and 4 thumbs down? That's all right, brother. I always share with you guys, whatever you want to do in life, be thankful if someone appreciates it, but don't wait for people to appreciate it. You know, whether it's a marriage or YouTube or anything you want to do in life, right? Your desire, your emotional energy has to get put into what you want to do regardless of how other people perceive it, okay? Because people who hate you once loved you, okay? People who stalk you are obsessed with you. And that's why I tell you, you can't save a marriage, you can't save certain relationships. Because you go past a boundary level that can never be repaired, okay? Like once someone shows you, once someone shows you their true colors, hard to go backwards. And we all eventually show that we're human. So I don't mean to say like someone let you down a little bit or they, they're not perfect. But like there's been times where people have been spiteful towards me because I cut them off. And then they tried to act like they weren't spiteful. And they said, why'd you cut me off? I said, man, you know what I mean? And so what I want to share with you in this video, I always struggle on what I want to share for fun, what I want to share for long-term seeds for those who suffer through life. This is one of those videos that it's more or less a seed for the future for someone suffering through life. And the seed is this. The only way to uproot the plant of resentment, okay, is to separate, okay? It's to rip out of the soil. It's to divorce, in my opinion. I think a relationship will destroy your life. I think it'll destroy your self-confidence, destroy your peace. I think you can coexist with someone after you get a divorce, after you break up. But I think you have to learn to exist with yourself. You know what I mean? So my journey through life is people struggle to exist with themselves. That's what I've overall seen and felt in my own life. And even though I always kind of understand myself and I've always been at peace with myself, there's been ups and downs. But this video is more or less for others who are suffering, and suffering with a capital S. Okay. Is that, you know, look, you're not on a reality show. Okay. And the reality is you can't save something that's so broken and not continue to be damaged. So put peace and closure to it, move on with your life. Period. I can stretch this out like the guy I saw today on this podcast. He was stretching out this long-winded, like textbook, counselor, therapist speech. And the bottom line is, look, ultimately, every man and every woman needs to decide for themselves, okay, what you are willing to try to save and which you're not. But the bottom line is, look, once you're calling other people, asking them, what do you think I should do? You already made your decision. You know, you already checked out, and because you've been through it enough. A recurring pattern tends to not change but get worse. Your resentment doesn't go away, it gets worse. And every time they're slow in the supermarket, you resent them for the past 10 years of bullshit you've been through. Every time they take the wrong turn in the car, you resent them for the 15 years of wrong turns they've made in life. Resentment builds up more, not less. And that's how you suffer more, not less in life. And your best life is suffering less. And you gotta move on. Is it sad to throw away years of a relationship? Definitely, no doubt. What should you do? Whatever you want. Invest how you want, live how you want. Don't listen to me. I'm a guy, you know, just doing me. But I observe life and I see people suffering, and I also often wonder, what's the cause of suffering in the world? And the number one cause is relationships. If you look at most studies, on average, the number one cause of suffering is bad relationships. Okay? And so that's a key that will always unlock your best life. And when there's no other door to go to for a relationship, go to yourself. Learn to exist with yourself. You understand what I'm saying? Because you can't save someone else. You can't change someone else. You have to accept someone else. And once you resent someone else, you'll never accept them. Because their nature is something that repulses you. It repels you. It disgusts you. It angers you. Okay. And I don't see how that ends up repairing to a healthy, loving, gracious, merciful relationship. I just see you basically wishing death on them, and you both dying miserable. And I've been through that, and it's just a disaster. To a certain extent, I haven't been through that in a marriage per se, but that's my opinion. Leave a comment below. We'll read all live comments. We'll see what you guys got to say. Shout out to you, Ball and Thug. Little rain tonight. Be cool tomorrow in New Jersey, about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we go to 60s and up for the rest of the week. Mother's Day on Sunday as I make this. So anyone out there, at least in America, it's Mother's Day on Sunday. Don't forget, if you got a good mother, say Happy Mother's Day. Don't buy her flowers. Buy her chocolate and cheese. That's what I tell you. All right, let's go to all live comments. Free to be me. What's up, man? Peace to you. Free to be me's been through a divorce, I believe. I know he's definitely got kids with a girl, so he understands what it is to go through the BS and to Ball and Thug. How were the non-watching? I must have missed something you said, made them mad. No, you know, sometimes the people that come in and just give hate, they're the people that I blocked, and their love for me turned to hate, and now they resent me. And so they haven't moved on with their life. They never will. But that's okay. That's part of life, and I accept that. And I'm glad that I cut them off, because to me, it's like I cut off an unhealthy person in my life. Don't need them. Bland. What's up, Sam? What's up, Bland? How's North Carolina? How's your day going? What's going on for the weekend? Love to you, brother. Steve, Ball and Thug. Some people do not agree with the message in America. It's called freedom of speech. Yeah, it's tough, you know, and, but I'm human too. I don't agree with other people, and sometimes I click the thumbs down. So it's all good. I mean, I'm not insecure. And I know my message isn't always the exciting, thrilling thing that people want. My message is for how I feel in the moment, what I either want to share in a fun, creative way, or something I want to share for the future for someone watching down the road the replay. You know, when I do live feeds, there's two ways to look at it. There's the instant gratification of making something in the moment, hot topic that I'm excited or passionate about, or something that I just reflect on in life that I want to be documented for time down the road for someone who's scrolling through a YouTube search and says, you know, can you save a marriage? Now, these are my opinions. Again, on all my videos, I say people should do what they want. Okay? But I want to do what I want. And what I want to say is you can't save a marriage, especially when resentment is there, when bitterness is there, and you're miserable. Misery loves company, not happiness. So, you know, does the divorce make everything right? Look, I've seen people get divorced and then just, you know, bury their head in house renovations and whatever, you know what I mean? But I've seen people get divorced, and over time, it's a better quality of life. They're healthier. They don't feel trapped. They're not in an abusive relationship emotionally. It's not just physical abuse, it's emotional abuse. And learning to walk away, learning to be yourself, and learning to do things not just for the crowd, you know, but for your own well-being. You know, I know everyone thinks of that as a selfish thing, but, you know, there's a part of life that is self-care. Self-care is not selfish, because what happens is when you don't do enough self-care, you suffer, and everyone around you suffers. And that's a deadly thing, man. Some of the times that I failed in life is when I didn't take enough time for myself, and then I got in an environment with another person or another being, and I was resentful, and they could feel that energy. You know what I mean? Like I said, I was never like physically abusive to anyone. I was never emotionally abusive, but you could feel someone's energy. And there's been times in my life where I look back and say, man, I know my energy wasn't right towards that person, but it wasn't right because I wasn't right. I didn't realize how much I needed my own time for myself. I need a lot of time for myself. As you get older, you discover that. And I don't hesitate to say that. I don't hesitate to be myself. I don't hesitate to put up my boundaries. I don't hesitate to do things on my terms, as long as, like, obviously, again, they're within the law. I'm not abusing someone, right? I mean, you know, do I say things sometimes in a rough way or something? Very rarely. So the better quality relationships, the better quality of life. You know, we could talk about money. We talk about in this channel. We could talk about living as a nomad. We talk about that in this channel. We could talk about a variety of things, and we will. Every night I talk about a different topic. Sometimes with the same topic, but a very similar thread. Because in life, you have to keep a level of a focus on how you observe what's best for you and the suffering that you see in the world. Okay. And these are my thoughts, okay, that are expressed as like my end of the day reflections. Like I say, I got inspired when I heard this podcast about this. A person was married for 38 years and they resented their husband. And the lady was asking the therapist, how do I get over this? And the therapist was, again, telling her some textbook thing he learned in psychology class. And the bottom line is, look, I can save her 5 more, 10 more years of suffering. Just get a divorce. Just get a divorce. In my opinion. And that's how I kind of feel about that. Both the woman I've truly loved with all my heart have done me super dirty. And the 3 or 4 I really liked with relationships of a year or more have also done me super dirty. Yeah, it's tough, man. Like I say, I look at different relationships. I've got done dirty a little bit, and I've done a little bit of dirt, but not really to the point of abuse. But like I always tell people, the best way to move forward in your life is just to realize that you probably knew who you were getting involved with initially. I always say it takes 2 to tango. And when you do that, when you take accountability for your part in the relationship, it just helps you to put closure to it, move on, and say, look, you take L's in life, you move forward. Sometimes it takes a couple of years to heal yourself. Like you can't save a marriage, but you can save yourself. How? Through self-care, self-discovery, and seeking a better life. And that's kind of like what my mindset is. Dope King, what's up, man? You can't save a marriage. In my opinion, I tend to agree. I do, and that's kind of the message tonight. Now, again, I tend to say this is just my general thoughts. Everyone has to do what they want with their own life, but I'm in agreement kind of with that. Just clean my camera. Dope King, why get married in the first place? Yeah, I don't think future generations are really going to get married. I think we're at a point where, look, unless you're going to have kids and unless you're going to settle down, I don't see the true value in making that type of long-term commitment. To me, if you're going to start a family, I could see it as an option. Okay? Because if you're already going to have children, you're already like in it for the long term, or you're making a big enough commitment that you could say, look, I'm already all in. I'm going to try to go all in. But, you just have to be mindful. It's something that's very hard to get out of, very hard to liquidate, not just financially, but emotionally. It takes years to recover from a breakup and, from a marriage, probably a couple more. But better to start now with the healing process than to suffer through years more of resentment. Because in my opinion, good to see you, John. I love you, brother. In my opinion, I make this video for someone in the future who goes through this. And I say to you that the moment you ask yourself, can you save a marriage, is the moment you have your answer. The answer is no, in my opinion. Again, don't get a divorce and then blame me. Because, again, I'm just a guy reflecting on my thoughts at the end of the day. And my observations through life. There's no way I could figure out everyone's life. I try my best to just figure out my own, stay positive, keep myself in a healthy place, mind, body, and soul. Keep positive people around me. And that's a full-time gig. So, I'm just sharing tonight. Thank you, guys. Let's continue. Blanton, consistency is the key to life. It is. Like I said, when you're totally in doubt and you want to do something magical and you want to like make the earth explode and you want to do like this great magical thing, just show up. The hard work of your life is creating a healthy routine, being consistent in that, having a little bit of variety to keep the adventure, spice, and inspiration in your life, and reflecting on healthy things, healthy principles that guide you, that remind you of where the focus needs to be. Okay. Because this world is like, in my view, always tries to break you. And it's so easy to get depressed. It's so easy to get stressed. And it's only by the grace of God. I mean, you need like to be firing on all cylinders, mind, body, soul. That's why I do believe like everyone should go on a spiritual journey, that everyone should study like basic finances to get yourself living on a budget below your means. Everyone should really look at some literature with emotional and mental health and how you kind of can curve the odds in your favor. Like when you eat healthier, you curve the odds in your favor that you're going to have better mental health. When you work out daily, even if it's going for a walk, you curve the odds that you will have better mental health. When you have better relationships, you curve the odds that you're going to have a better mental health. So for me, all you're really trying to do in life to create your best life, not perfect life, is put the odds in your favor. You know what I mean? Because if you constantly go into the crap table and betting on the highest odds, guys, you're going to go bankrupt. And a lot of people are bankrupt emotionally, financially, mentally. And I understand why, because this world can be harsh. But the world can also be beautiful, and there are some positive people. But to get to the positive people and the beautiful stuff in life, you have to separate yourself from the dookie in life. And you have to have the confidence to say, look, I have to separate, okay? There's a scripture that basically says, like, it talks a lot about separating thyself from that which is kind of like unholy, and it gives different parables, different analogies. And it does say, like, how can the devil and God be united? So it gives like extreme examples for different scenarios. Paul the Apostle does recommend that most people stay single. He said, if you can't stay single, then get married, but I want you to do whatever you can to live basically as free as possible so that you can live your best life, is basically what he was saying in a religious way, in an old school way. So, something I think about. Yeah, and Dope King says, yeah, why get married in the first place? I understand why, because it's an emotional thing, and when you're young, you don't understand the harshness of life and how hard it is to keep people together on the same page for decades. Again, this woman that called the show today, she was married for 38 years, and she just had enough. She was emotionally bankrupt, and she was like, look, I just want to get out of this relationship. Our kids are grown. We're empty nesters. I'm done. And I mean, when you're at that point, you have your answer. So, that's kind of like my core message tonight, you answer your own questions. You answer your own questions, but you talk them out. That's what you do with therapy. You talk out your thoughts, you know what I mean? And then like you kind of like replay them and you kind of weed them out. Like, do I really believe that? Do I not? And sometimes when I do these live feeds and I talk about different subjects, I'm talking out my own thoughts. Now, look, at my point, I'll be 40 years old this year. I have no kids. I'll never get married. So for me, but like Dope King says, why do people even get married? I never thought I would get married, but there was times in my early 20s where I could have easily had a kid or got too entangled with something. Because again, I didn't understand like the long-term effects of certain things in life. I kind of understood them, but not really. And when you're young, you have a lot of hormones, you have a lot of optimism, you have a lot of lack of the reality of a long, dragged-out life and the sacrifice of kids, mortgages, family, bills, etc. And, you take the good with the bad, but you evolve as a person. And you share about your thoughts and about life. And that's what I do, like on these live feeds. That's what I'm doing. I'm just sharing about what I've seen or experienced or what I'm listening to. And that's kind of what I want to do. Blame. Going golfing by myself this weekend. That's a good thing, self-care. Planning more YouTube videos and applied for a part-time job. There you go. That would give me extra income as well as some exercise. That's all positive activity. You are putting into practice good habits. And like I tell you, brother, you're going to live a great life. You're going to be successful. You're going to have your ups and downs. But this is also a message for the younger people. If you're in love, honor your mate, and etc. But really be cautious on having kids or getting married until you're really, really sure, because it's a really, really dangerous road and it's hard to get out of. Easy to get into, hard to get out of. So just be mindful. Right? Workday was so boring and slow today. Good to see you, Oreo Mouse. Yeah, the workday, it's like what I try to remember. Some work days are good, some are bad. Some videos I make are good, some are bad. But again, the blessing is in the showing up. That's the blessing. And when you show up, good things happen. If you don't show up, nothing good can happen. So when it comes to your job or when it comes to doing something productive and useful, uh, you learn to show up. And that keeps a momentum, a rhythm in your life. Because like I've shared often, idle time kills your soul. Idle time builds resentment. Idle time leads to depression. Idle time leads to overeating. Idle time leads to all type of destructive, negative behavior and negative energy. Your biggest battle in life is cultivating positive energy and harnessing it, focusing it in a direction to live your best life. Because, guys, it takes everything you got, you know what I mean, to just live a peaceful life. You know what I mean? But there's not a big mystery behind it. Like, there's not a big mathematical formula. You don't need a Tesla. You don't need a Tesla to live your best life. If you want one and you can afford it, great. You know, you don't need a dime piece. You don't need a beautiful wife. You don't need a tall husband that's very nice, good with kids. You know, you need you. What do you need in life? You need you. Meaning that you need to be in a good, whole, healthy place. You need to be in a good, whole, healthy place. That's not selfish, guys. That's not selfish at all. That's wisdom. That's grace. That's godliness. You know what I mean? And that's peace. You know, and I love peace, man. You know, I was just so thankful today. I mean, I was sitting there. I went for a walk and I was just reflecting on life. And I said, I'm thankful for peace. I'm thankful I don't own a lot of things. I'm thankful I don't have a lot of relationships. I like simple, guys. I like simple. Now, marriage is not simple. Commitment and entanglements are not simple. I don't want to be negative to anyone that's their dream. These are my thoughts. These are not, I'm not trying to bully people into getting a divorce. I'm not trying to bully people into not getting married. I am sharing my thoughts on how I feel. I'm trying to connect or plant seeds with other people who are like-minded. We don't all think alike. These are just my thoughts. Infinity, 1999. Love you, brother. Thank you for all the content. Well, Infinity, thank you for being a huge positive influence in my life and a supporter. Don't take you for granted. I don't take anyone for granted. Thank you. Thank you, Bowling Thug, for being a member. Thank you for everyone who watches my video. It's love and appreciation. And we're going to keep going forward. We're going to keep staying positive. And we just show up. You know, like I said, sometimes when you're at a loss for words, when you don't have this big creative thing, just show up. And you'll go forward. Let's continue. Thank you, Affinity. Thank you very much. Bland. All right, Steve. Inspiring just as much as you are. Well, Steve, thank you. Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you for your supportive words. Words mean a lot. Thank you for understanding me. Understanding someone means a lot. Thank you for not trying to change me. That means a lot. You know, so thank you. That's what I tell you, period. Thank you. Let's continue to read. Steve. Coggins struggling. Bone Thug. I've had women lie to cops, judges, my parents, my friends. Isolation tactics to try to leave me with nothing and create a fake narrative. One of these women was into pills way too heavy. Thank you for sharing, Ball and Thug. Yeah, I mean, that was very dark, man. I mean, I could feel the negative energy because I've seen that in my life. The good news is you're out of it. The important news is stay out of it. Stay out of drama. What I learned is drama doesn't just come in your life. You invite it or you permit it. You know, like sometimes I do a dramatic title, I got a dramatic thumbnail, and, you know, there is a level of drama that you need to capture the mind, capture attention. But the core has to be wholesome, okay? Meaning that, you know, you could dress up a little bit, you want attention, or, you know, you could be a little bit of, you know, entertainment is dramatic, right? I used to love drama movies. But the core message of a movie, to me, has to be wholesome. I don't want to watch a movie about, like, murder, or, you know what I mean, like crazy killing stuff. You know, I don't want to watch a horror movie. I'm not at that point in my life anymore. Why? Because I want to tilt the odds for good mental health, good well-being. I just want positive vibes, man. And life has negative vibes, right? So, you know, I don't live I don't live a life like where I'm naive and I think like life is all positive and there's no bad stuff and there is suffering. But I'm trying to avoid as much suffering as possible and trying to create an energy, a vibe around what I do that there's more positive than negative. Why? Because that's your best life. That's how you make that happen. And that's effort, intention doesn't just happen. Like, I think easily, like that negative energy come into your life. I think negativity is like very easy. Positivity a little bit harder. Like the mind will go negative without you pulling it back. And also, what keeps your mind from going into a negative, depressed state is healthy habits. Like, it's so easy for the mind to go into a downward spiral. If you don't have a healthy routine, waking up early, eating healthy, exercising, something productive, something entertaining, if you don't have that healthy cycle, it's an uphill battle off the door, okay? When you have that healthy cycle, there's still battles, okay? And when you get out of battles, you remember certain things. What do I remember today? I remember today that singleness is a gift, not a curse. Okay. Getting a divorce is a gift, not a curse. I don't wish it on people, and I don't tell people you should definitely do it. But I'm saying, in my opinion, if you ask, can you save a marriage? You can't. What you can do is accept where you are, figure out a healthy path for you to go forward, not a spiteful path, not a nasty, not a vengeful, not trying to get back at someone, not trying to make someone understand. What's the healthy way to go forward? Okay. Everything else is a sugar high that leads to a disaster. Thank you for sharing, Blanton. Did you see the shooting in GA? No, I haven't. Maybe I'll see an article on my phone. The one good thing I like about not having a TV, not watching news, obviously I watch news, I read news articles, I watch YouTube news clips, but I'm very selective, and obviously I talk about the coronavirus, I talk about politics at time in this channel, but I really don't watch the news on a daily basis unless it's like a pandemic thing or a major issue. Now that you brought it up, maybe I'll see an article on it or read about it, but I try to just keep my mind away from it if I can help it. I speak directly to political issues when they're important enough to me, or when they're, and I'm not saying a shooting isn't important to me, but, it's a dime a dozen in one sense. There's not much I can do about that. But what I can say is, like I made the video today, for everyone living out on the road out there, is that be very conscious of your surroundings. Even in good neighborhoods, bad neighborhoods, people are always keeping an eye on you. For, sometimes people are just people watching. And even today, like I was in a nice neighborhood and someone just was asking me questions. And, I don't know if their intentions were to ask me a question because I'm in a nice neighborhood and they're trying to figure out, well, why is this guy always here walking around? Because I have certain areas that I like to go to walk, and I like to walk in nice areas. But I after I started talking to him, he realized my level of intelligence, and I started throwing questions back at him. I said, well, what are you doing here? Where do you live? Not like nasty, but like I didn't have to answer his questions because I was parked in a public park. And but sometimes sometimes in life, you just have to be confident enough to know your rights, to avoid escalating unnecessary conflict, and to keep it moving. General principles, and there's details within life that, you have to evaluate for each circumstance. But every interaction can lead to something very negative or very meaningless. But even today, like after I had this conversation with this guy, I didn't appreciate some of his questions out of the blue because I was parked in a public park. I was walking by myself, not bothering anyone. And I guess he noticed me the past couple of days, so he figured he'd ask me something. So I answered him. I was respectful, but then I asked him questions back. I said, where do you live? What do you do? You know what I mean? Because I was like, and I thought about that throughout the day, and it could be very mentally hurtful. Um, but I've learned, I know I'm tough-minded, and I'm intelligent enough to deal with life and navigate it by the grace of God, not through my own pride, but I'm just sharing. But I think about all the people that get emotionally manipulated by people, or bullied or intimidated, or like just profiled or looked at a certain way, and they don't have the wherewithal, communication skills, or intelligence to push it back. And that's why I do think it's very important for people who have been blessed with a level of skills, and we all have different skills, to use them in a way that will eventually make a difference, okay? You're going to be average at some things, below average, and above average. Whenever you're above average at, try to refine that gift, because that gift will serve some purpose throughout the course of your life. Doesn't have to mean you're going to be the president. It means just conversations with people, just sharing on topics, and just the way you move in life, just the way you move, even when you move by yourself, it makes a difference. You know, you don't always need a bunch of people applauding you. You don't always need to grow. Like, I remember when I was part of a church for 10 years, it was a blessing in my life. It was a good part of my life. But I remember there was one part of the church where the pastors were so intent on growing the church. Okay. And I think about that often now in my own life. Like, they made a major mistake by focusing so much on growth and not enough just about a wholesome message. Because sometimes a wholesome message doesn't get a lot of growth, right? So, and I think about that myself on my journey with YouTube and different things. I try to grow it. I try to, be consistent. But overall, in the core of my videos are pretty much principles that align with my being at this time and keep me going forward. And I'm okay if it doesn't always cause me to grow. Okay. Part of growing in life is being okay with doing things that aren't going to initially just grow. They may actually cause you to regress statistically. Okay. Sometimes you have to regress or go backwards statistically to go forward emotionally with your health and your foundation. And that's why I'm an advocate of living below your means, having different hustles, because when you have that foundation of living below your mean, having different hustles, you can live in your truth without solely worrying about the statistical value of analyzing your growth, okay? And sometimes in life, numbers move people. Like, again, this lady who called up the podcast today, the number of 38, she was married for 38 years. That number 38 was more important sometimes than the quality of the marriage. Like, to say you're married for 38 years, but to be unhappy and resentful, the number of years means nothing. The fact is right now you're unhappy, resentful, and there's no way forward once you're at a certain place. So, and one person in the beginning of this live feed, I believe my man Ball and Thug, he asked, like, why a certain number of people gave it thumbs down, right? So if you just do a video and if you just focus about views and thumbs down, you never live in your truth. Now, you have to focus a little bit on views, thumbs down, analytics. It's part of life. But you have to balance it with what you're trying to do, how you feel, and what you're at peace with. There is a balance. Not one or the other. There's that balance. And, it takes a while to figure it out. Let's continue. Ball and Thug, that's scary. John, what's up, man? Yeah, I appreciate that, John. It's good to see you, brother. I love you. I'm keeping you in my prayers. Stay positive. Yeah, we got to get through tomorrow. John's from Boston. He's from Northeast. So tomorrow it'll be cold, 50 degrees, rain, a little windy. But after that, on Sunday, Mother's Day, Sunday's Mother's Day, it'll be about 60 degrees. And then the rest of the week, it's going to be 60 degrees and sunny. So I'm thankful for that. The sun in New Jersey is different than the sun in Florida. When you're in Florida, you're closer to the equator, you have higher humidity, and you really feel the sun. You feel the vitamin D. Don't really feel it that much up here, but I am thankful that I don't have to deal with the humidity living out of my car because I don't want to do another summer without air conditioning, especially with Starbucks and all those things still kind of closed down. Not worth it. One sec, guys. We're back. Let's continue. Oh, Bone Thug, I missed that, man. Damn, I'm sorry, brother. What do you use Wi-Fi in your car? Well, thank you, brother. I was actually just hooking my Wi-Fi up because I lost this Wi-Fi in the gas station, so I tether my phone. I have a Sprint unlimited data plan, Ball and Thug. So what I do is I tether off of that. And then I get Wi-Fi on my laptop. But other than that, yeah, I just tap it out of either a gas station, Lowe's, a hardware store, McDonald's, something of that nature. But the Wi-Fi tethering is acting up a little bit tonight. I don't know if it's throttling me down or what. Thank you, Ball and Thug. I appreciate that, brother. Let's continue. Ball and Thug. And I just tried to help with sobriety and made valid points and plans to wean her off drugs. Yeah, I had family members that were addicted to drugs. It's very hard to get someone off drugs. They'll struggle with that most of their life. And what I've learned is you really can't do much other than put up healthy boundaries and accept the fact that they may not ever get off drugs. So, like I said, I think that was negative energy, and you did the right thing by getting out of it, even though it's painful. And then Bone Thug says, yeah, Blanton, I've always thought there were good people in the world, but if you watch these women on video just lying to create fake narratives is scary. It's scary. Now, to be fair, you know, some men play the game too. There's bad men and bad women. I always try to be very fair in that because I've seen both. And so all we can do to go forward is just remember that, look, you know, relationships are hard, even when you got two good people. So, you know, be very cautious on getting into them. Blanton, Bone Thug, I've been in that situation for about a month before. Knew that I was getting into, but it was risk and fun aspect. Yep. That kept me blind. There you go. That's a good point. Overall disaster. Yeah. Yeah, when we're young, you know, we want the excitement and we pay a price. It's true. Milano, good to see you, brother. Jay Bird. I spent the entire day alone in my van on the waterfront. I was happy. Yeah, good to see you, Jay Bird. Love to you. Love to all my Floridians. Yeah, look, I really do like the simple life. I think I'll never go back. I just think it's I don't want the complexity of the conforming life. I really don't. I have really no desire. I mean, I have a desire to add some comfort with some climate control, and I would like some type of home gym, but I do not want to get back into the entanglement. So I hear you. Oreo Mouse. Hello, Sam. How are you doing? I feel good. Little like I don't know what they call like melancholy or whatever, because it's cloudy, it's rainy, and it's like a low energy. Friday night, but low energy. But it's okay. I'm making the most of it. How are you? Bone Thug, Blanton. I subscribe. Bone Thug, subscribe to Blanton. Thank you, Bone Thug. Appreciate your love. Oreo Mouse. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Well said, Oreo Mouse. That's so true. And I reflect on that often. And that's why I like, go for a walk every couple hours. Keep your blood flowing. Keep your mind going. Stay positive. Infinity, what's up, man? What's up, brother? Thank you again for the love. How you doing, man? How's everything going on with you? John, hey, Oreo Mouse and all. Oreo Mouse, an idle mind is the devil's playground. You nailed it, Oreo Mouse. Good job. Infinity, thank you again, brother. I love you too, and I really appreciate all your support, man. I appreciate your positivity, man. Hope everything's going good with you. Be the Builder, what's up, man? Just showing some love and respect. No, man, thank you. Every day you motivate me to downsize and watch my large purchases. Good looking out. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I was going to do, I'll do another video about that. Every day is a new video. So it's sometimes like, I have a million different things I want to talk about, but they're all based around the same things, which is keep it simple. Not just in every aspect. Your finances, your relationships, your materialism. Because the less things you have to stress about, the less stress you have. And that's a healthier mind, period. Bone Thug, thank you again, brother. Yeah, I've been tethering off my Wi-Fi, Bone Thug. So I have Sprint Unlimited. I think you said what you have. What'd you say? You said I use prepaid phone. Okay. Because I only have a few friends and family. So yes, $20 on top of the bill but the roadside assistance and the app that tells me the car is acting up. Okay. Oh, prepaid. So I guess it doesn't matter what carrier you use. Shout out to you, man. Thank you again, Ball and Thug, for being a member and for your tip, man. Thank you. Josh. Ball and Thug, hotspot tether. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, look into that, guys. If you don't have a hotspot tether, look into that. Gangster Talk, what's up, man? $2.99 super chat. What's up, brother? How are you, Gangster Talk? Thank you, man. Thank you for the love and support. I hope you're having a good day, man. Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday to everyone, guys. It's a light night. And we talk about whatever you want. We're gonna have some fun tonight. But love to you, Gangster Talk. Thumbs up to you, man. Stay positive. Keep your mental health in a positive mode. Don't watch too much negativity. And don't worry, man. Just take life one day at a time, guys. One day at a time. We go forward. Thank you, brother. Ball and Thug says, I use Sprint Drive for unlimited Wi-Fi. Yeah. Well, I got Sprint too. They merged with T-Mobile now. $20 a month, but my engine has to be running. Does it? Oh, off. What is it? Off your car? That's interesting. Yeah, I think my Jeep Renegade, I think it can get Wi-Fi. I don't know how that works, to be honest with you. Someone told me, you could do it off your car, but I don't know how that works. Hey, African Amazing, how are you? Hey, Sam, I love that message. When you are above average at something, refine your gift. Thank you. Use it and make a difference. It's true. Thank you, African Amazing. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, look, I learned through life. Again, I'll be 40 years old, so I've done a lot of different things. Some worked out, some things didn't work out. But through simplifying my life at mid-age, the whole purpose, or one of the major drivers, is the more I simplify my life, the more I can focus my energy on the things that I'm above average at, which is being a communicator, technology, and even being a nomad, even being by the beach. I'm good at certain, and so I can dedicate more time and energy to that. And for me, that just means a better quality of life. Now, some things may change the world, some things may make no difference. But being in a better place, being in a healthier place does change the world. Because if you're a healthier person, you are better in society, one way or another. Again, everyone thinks to change the world, you have to be the president or you have to be a gazillionaire. And all those things are good, if that's what your goals are. I mean, everyone has a different goal set. But, as I get older, to me, my goal set is really just staying in a healthy place. I could simplify basically down to that. I have different, ambitions on certain things, but nothing that drives me beyond my own well-being. You know what I mean? So I try to balance, and I'm working on that now. I've tried to balance my goals to grow while still not going too fast that I don't maintain my well-being. And that's key. Josh, Ballin, is that an additional 20 on top of the phone bill? Ballin Thug. I use a prepaid phone because I only have a few friends and family. That's the best way. Yeah, on top of the $20 roadside assistance. And it tells me when a car is acting up. Milano, what's up, man? Good to see you, brother. Yes, Miami's still locked down. Milano lives full-time down in his Class B RV down in Miami. He goes, Sammy, nice weather here, 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, it's still nice. In Florida, it's nice all the way till July. Then it gets unbearable in August. 65-degree Fahrenheit morning. Not bad. No, it's beautiful weather. May 18, opening up with some restrictions. I may go back down before fall. Because, look, on a day like today when it's rainy and cloudy, I definitely miss Florida. But it's Mother's Day this weekend. It'll be nice. Well, it'll be sunny. But I do miss Florida. I miss the people. I miss the culture. It's true. Love to you, brother. Blanton, thank you, Ball and Thug. Milano, May 18th, the gym open up. Yeah, in Florida, that's what Milano's saying. May 18th, the gyms open up. In New Jersey, they haven't given us a date on when the gyms open up. So each state in America is operating differently based on the COVID-19. So we'll see how that goes. Blanton. Favorite flavor of ice cream back in the day? Chocolate chip mint. Shout out to Oreo Mouse. Chocolate chip mint was my favorite ice cream from Carvel with chocolate sprinkles. Pistachio's okay too. Once in a while, I have the Halo healthy pistachio ice cream. It's 280 calories for a little pint. They're $6 to a pint. But my favorite all-time ice cream was chocolate chip mint with chocolate sprinkles on top from Carvel. I used to eat a gallon of that. When I was obese, man, I would tear that up at night, man. Josh, yo, Nomad, I'm going into my 3-month anniversary as being a nomad. Congratulations, man. So far, while parked, I've had about 4 people homeless or broke, either walk up to my car and knock asking for change. I've been there. Yeah, you got to keep it moving. And as you continue on your nomadic journey, you're going to know the different areas that they're more concentrated. So you can never fully avoid it being a nomad because we're in the public more, but you kind of know the areas and you kind of know how to move within those areas. So it's just something we deal with as nomads. Like I said, whether you deal with that or even today, like I deal with a guy that was a little bit of a, he wasn't a jerk, but I didn't appreciate his questions. I was in a good neighborhood minding my business. So, it's part of the life. And we take the good with the bad. Gangster Talk, man. Thank you again, brother. I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate that tip. And I appreciate that love, brother. Thank you, Gangster Talk, for your support, man. Josh, do you feel bad for rejecting or ignoring people in need? No, I don't, because I've helped people in need. I've had a nonprofit. I've worked at soup kitchens. I've worked with the homeless. I've gone on missionary things at night in the middle of projects. So what I've learned through my experiences with friends, society, family members is there are plenty of programs in society where no one will starve to death. There's Medicaid. No one will go without health care. The very poor don't go without health care. They have Medicaid. I have a sister that doesn't work. She's put in a government hotel. So, they're not the best. But you can't. The only people that can really help is the government. The government prints money. And in America, the only way you're really destitute is if you have a drug problem. But you're not destitute to the point where you're going to starve to death. It's just that you don't have enough money to get your fix. Now, look, I'm not going to say you're going to live a great life if you're broke, because it's still not a great life, but you're never going to starve to death. You're never going to be without basic shelter. It may not be the best area at times. You may not have the best job at times, but I would never, at this point in my life, and you guys, this is how I feel, I'm honest. I would never give to a charity again. I would never, there's been times I still give money, like maybe to somebody, but I don't, like I tell them, like, look, if you're going to buy alcohol, buy alcohol. But it's even very rare I do that now. I don't really give money at all anymore. Because I basically have come to the point mentally where I only think that the government can reform a little bit and add a little bit better base, but you're never going to eliminate people with drug or mental problems. There's no money that can solve that. So that's what I've learned just through my experience, through family members, friends, etc. And that gives me a peace about saying no. But just remember, when you say no to someone who's desperate because of a drug problem or mental problem, I would not stay in that area because you put yourself in higher danger. So that's kind of like my thought. Michael, happy Sabbath. Jesus loves you. Well, I appreciate that. Shout out to every religion, atheist too. I grew up in a Catholic church, got out of that, went to a non-denominational church, studied the Bible, read some of the Quran. I read some of Buddha's stuff, some like Asian philosophy. And so, yeah, I love what Jesus stood for. I'm not really into theology anymore, or like celebrating certain days per se. I'm not at all an orthodox religious person. I do believe in spirituality. I believe that faith helps you. I believe in what Jesus taught. I try to respect other people's walks of life. I was very deep in the church at one point. But I also left the church at one point because the theology and the dogma of religion was killing my relationship with God. So there's a time you're going to need to get in the church to form your relationship with God to a higher degree. And then there's a time you're going to need to leave the church to get back into a healthy relationship with God beyond the religious dogma. Okay? And so that's very important. It's very important to do both. It's very important at one time in your life to get planted in a group of believers that will empower you, give you confidence, show that there are good people out there, or at least people trying to be better. No one's perfect. But then there's also going to be a point where you have to separate from everyone. There's times that Jesus separated from everyone. He went up to the mountain by himself. And then he also hung out with hookers. And the biggest part, like the biggest thing that Jesus sold me on was the scripture where he stood in front of Mary Magdalene, who was basically like a prostitute. She committed adultery. He stood in front of her and he said, "Let he who has no sin cast the first stone." So, look, that's basic stuff. You don't really need to get that religious. That's the basic essence of Jesus and the gospel. you can get deeper into it, and there are some deeper aspects. Paul the Apostle wrote that he recommends you should stay single because marriage leads to more walls between you and God and between the heart. He basically said, look, there's hardships in this world, and marriage can make it harder. I'm paraphrasing, but in certain aspects, that's kind of what he said. So, I've seen people that I met in the church. The husband was strung out on drugs. The wife they were both good people. They both helped me. But, the husband never got over his drug addiction. The wife never divorced him. So did they save that marriage? I don't know. It's a good question. I can't judge them. They both helped me. I don't look down on them. I don't think, but I'm observing, right? And I have to share with you, like, this is my observation of life. Would I recommend you be in that marriage where your husband or your wife was a drug addict, you never divorced them? I don't know, man. It's up to you. I mean, ultimately, look, guys, can you save your marriage? It's up to you, But for me, this is just for me, you can't. You may die with them, and that's love. I saw love. Love, is, obviously, look, love is a blessing, man. You know what I mean? It's all about that at the end of the day. It's corny, but it's true. But how do you want to live while you're here? I don't want to suffer. I want to avoid suffering as much as possible. So take a hydration break, and we'll continue to read the live comments. Well, thug. It plugs into the area where the mechanics check for codes, the sprint drive. Okay. Lila, aka Zach. My seizure's weird today, but take breaks from iPad. Well, that's smart, Lala. And that's why I tell people, if you play too many video games, especially first shooter, you're destroying your mental health. I love video games. I played them when I was younger. I think they helped me interface with technology. But too much video games can hurt your mental health. And if you have some biological or mental issues, too much iPad, too much computer, too much phone can cause seizures, to your point. So take breaks. And as you mature in life, get away from the screen a little bit. Balance your life. Not easy, because the screen and the iPad and the phone and the video games, they're addictive. Try to balance your life. Thank you for sharing. Josh, Lila, are those your dogs? Ball and Thug. How do you feel about reopening these states with COVID-19 cases still remaining pretty stagnant? In Kansas and Missouri, restaurants open on Monday with restrictions, of course. Yeah, look, based on what I know, I'm for it. I'm for it if you can meet obviously the criteria of the federal government gave certain guidelines. And there are certain states that have very low amounts. So I'm for it, and then monitor it. And then if it breaks out, obviously step back. So I wouldn't tell people to lock down if the statistics don't show we should. So, yeah, there's no exact science to this, but obviously we respect science. So I would say the general wisdom feels to be that at this point, based on the science and the general philosophy of looking at how much good or bad are we doing by staying shut down, I think you incrementally open states, some more than others, depending on their geographic location and outbreak rate. And then you evaluate as you continue to open up the states if there's outbreaks, and then you may shut back down. And you just continue to work on vaccines and therapies. And in the meantime, you try to make sure that, the relief funds and no one's going destitute, and there's opportunities, etc. And you just try to go from there. My Wi-Fi restart home sometimes acts up. Sometimes my tethering acts up. So sometimes you got to reboot your phone or your computer. That's true. Ball and Thug. At Michael Kotz. Are you confused or am I missing something? I missed that. What did I miss? Maybe he left a chat. Yeah, I didn't see that one. Love to you, Ball and Thug. We'll get to it, though. I didn't even see that. Josh. Yes, those are my dogs. Josh, Lala, cool. I love how they are looking in the distance. Very poetic and nice shot. Yeah, dogs are a blessing. Dogs are a lot of work, too. One of my failures in life, if you say, Sam, what were some of your biggest failures in life? Good to see you, Tom. Shout out to you, man. I'm not in paradise right now, Tom. I'm in New Jersey. But I'm thankful. Today is cloudy and rainy, so I feel a little bit like, not down, but the weather does get me down. I need a lot of sunlight, or else I don't feel my best. And tomorrow's going to be cold and windy, and then Sunday we'll go back to the 60s with sun. But the sun is not the same in New Jersey as Florida. It's hotter, so not as hot in New Jersey. So, but I'm trying to make the most of it and spend time with my mom and stay productive. How's everything in California, brother? Probably good weather there right now. But if you say, Sam, what was your biggest failure in life, or one of them, it was probably at the end of my dog's life. I had too much stress, working too much, and my dog was just getting sick and old. And I just wish I was more patient with her at the end. I'm saying that because dogs teach you a lot. Dogs teach you about love, but they also teach you about being in a relationship. Because there's a certain part of a relationship where, like, I couldn't save my dog. My dog got to a point where she was suffering so much, you can't save her, you can't save her. You can't save things, and you just got to accept that it's over. And it's devastating to the soul. Bland, what was your favorite thing to do as a kid? Play basketball, video games, and fried chicken. Sam, what was my favorite thing? Basketball, fried chicken, and video games. You? Josh, Nomad. I also just listened to the entire Elon Musk interview. That was a good one. Anything specifically you disagree with Musk on? Also thoughts on Neuralink and having a chip implanted in the human brain. Yeah, Elon Musk basically said, look, if we keep on like this, society can't operate, because how are we going to produce things? We are producing things now because we have essential workers. Elon's mad because the Tesla factory in San Francisco is not opening. He wants Tesla to be considered an essential worker. He's mad because his dream of building luxury electrical cars may take a little bit of a hit, okay? So we have essential workers in food distribution and in the basic needs and essentials of society. So his push to reopen America, where I agree with it some instance, but some instance I push back, because there's nothing in society that isn't being done. The only thing I think can be better is some of the elective surgeries should be taking place. But outside of that, guys, Tesla is a useless machinery. Okay? If anything, society should realize you don't need a $60,000, $100,000 Tesla with black rims that can go 0 to 60. Like he was bragging about how fast his electrical cars can go in 60 seconds. So I disagree with his humanity towards how and why he's passionate about reopening. He is a highly productive person, but a little bit of it is based on ego. Any highly productive, competitive person, whether it's Elon Musk, Michael Jordan, or Donald Trump, their incentive to do things is based on their ego to create, rather than the well-being and look, society don't need Teslas. They don't. Now, it helps that someone is innovating in the electrical car space, but at the same time, again, the government bailed out Tesla or they went bankrupt. Now he questions the government and how much they should intervene. I agree with some things that he says, but I disagree with others. Why does he even have a supply chain in China? If he was this great innovator that is changing the world, why doesn't he ensure that all the parts from Tesla are made in America at an affordable price? He's a little bit of an egomaniac, okay? And he's been divorced once. He couldn't save his marriage. This is his second marriage. So just because someone is successful and smart doesn't mean that they have it right all the time. And he doesn't. He has some things right, some things wrong. And me too. I don't have all things right. But if you ask me, my things that I could pick out, those are some, and hopefully that answered your question. Would you do it? Oh, I missed something? Oh, he goes, also, thoughts on Neuralink and having a chip implanted. Would you do it? Yeah, he said also what I've been saying is that your cell phone is your voluntary implanted chip right now. Your cell phone is a tracking device. They track sometimes COVID. When they do COVID-19 retracement testing, they're going to use your cell phone, your GPS coordinates, and they're going to see where your cell phone was within the past 30, 60 days. That's what they're doing. So your cell phone is already a tracking device. if you ever got arrested for attempted murder or something like that, they're going to go back. They're going to look at all your Instagrams, all your Facebook, all your YouTube. So an implanted chip, I would consider it. But it's like asking a 73-year-old man, would you consider the most advanced smartphone? Most 73-year-old men won't. I'll be 40. So if you ask me in 40 years from now when the microchip will be implanted, I'd probably say no, because I'm in my 70s or 80s. It doesn't make sense for me to go down that route. But if I was 20 years old in the year 2080, I would possibly say, look, yeah, give me the chip. So that's kind of how I think about it. Josh. Oh, yeah. Tom, what's up, brother? Hey, Sam, how's it going over there? Yeah, like I said, a little cloudy and down today. How's everything in California, man? That's a t-shirt. Yeah, that's a good t-shirt, man. But we gotta, if you're in New Jersey, it's just a Duke emoji as the answer. Blaine. Got a new viewer today. He said he's going to subscribe and watch your videos. He's one of my South Carolina, one of my friends in South Carolina. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Word of mouth is a big part of promoting anything, whether it's your business or whatever. When I did electrical contracting business, a word of mouth was a big way that I was able to get customers. People recommend you to others, and you grow slow like that. But, you know, some people like Grant Cardone, they pump a lot of money into advertising and they do grow fast. But I see the stress on his mind and other people who want to grow very fast, but not have a sustainable way of being. And I don't want to live like that. So thank you, brother, for the recommendation, man. Peter, I live in my car too. I'm getting mold in my car due to my car fogging up at night. That happened a lot to me in Florida because it's such humidity. Do you get the same problem in Florida? In the high humidity in the summer, not in New Jersey. The humidity levels aren't as bad. Only a couple of weeks in the height of summer. So, but you're always going to have a little bit of that battle. There's different people that say like, yeah, use this technique, that technique. But when you're living full time in your car, in a small quarter like that, your body gives off a certain level of perspiration. But the biggest obstacle will be in a high humidity environment. That's my experience. Just like anything else. Like if a house, like in the Jersey Shore or any house that's by the water, they often say there's not much you can do when you're in an area that has high moisture. Because that's just a breeding ground. High moisture and high heat are a breeding ground for mold. So even if it's a house or a car, it's just tough to combat that. Blanton. I still think back to when my dog, who I had since the second grade, died last year. You made a video and you showed a ton of emotion about your dog and it made me cry. Very powerful. Well, thank you. Yeah, that video got a couple thousand views because it was sincere. Yeah, I cried like a baby. I know that's hard to watch and a little bit disgusting, but, you know, that's how I felt, you know, and that's how it took me a couple years to really not cry and tell the story. But like I said, I know I let my dog down at the end of her life. I remember there's certain times where she went to the bathroom in the house and I could have been more patient. And I know I failed. So, you know, but it is what it is. I mean, I've accepted it over time. But I take that with me as a lesson in life that, you know, I guess I'm even applying now with my mom being elderly. I try to remember sometimes when she frustrates me just through like, you know, being elderly. I try to remember like, Sam, just be patient because it really don't matter. You know what I mean? Like, I try to remember like, don't even like, argue with her or don't get upset with her because it don't matter. You know what I mean? So, but that comes with maturity, right? You know, having a dog very early in life is like having a kid very early in life. You're going to screw up. And that's why like a lot of people try to make up with their grandchildren or they have children when they're elderly because they try to like make up for the fact that they were young and they didn't know how to handle really being a parent. So, you know, we live and we learn and we just, you know, we're thankful for the grace of God and we got to move forward. Let's continue. Josh, wait, Musk products are predominantly outsourced from China. Wow, didn't know that. Well, yeah, he's got a whole gig factory in China. Every big corporation in America has production in China, and the supply chain for most things goes through China. Like I say, if you guys want to change the trade deal, you don't go to the government of China, you go to our corporations. And you say, look, you want to sell Teslas in America? 100% of the supply chain has to be in America. But China but our corporations want to not just make stuff in China, they also want to sell stuff to the 1.5 billion people in China. The population of China is 1.5 billion. The population in America is 340 million. However, you're not gonna sell a $60,000 or $100,000 Tesla in China. The middle class is not that big, but the wealthy class is. And a Tesla is a luxury automobile for the elites. Now look, there's some upper middle class people that have it. And I know, like, you say, Sam, they got the lower, I think, Model X that maybe retails in the 30,000 range. But that's heavily subsidized through tax credits from the government. So the taxpayers subsidize the lower cost of the electrical vehicle, which I'm fine with that because we subsidize oil companies. But again, Elon Musk is not the devil, but he's not Iron Man either, okay? I think Ghostface Killer is closer to Iron Man than Elon Musk. So, in one sense of speaking, Elon Musk is an asset to society. I respect his brain power. I think he is an overall rational person at times. I think he's a valuable person in society. I disagree with some things that he does and says, but I'm not like, anti-Musk. But obviously, like, I'm just trying to give you contrast to what, like, I kind of like, disagree with him about. When I always have told my friend how funny and wild you get, and he said, okay, I've got to subscribe and watch his content. I should have done it a lot sooner. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, there's some days I'm really wild, intense, and funny, and there's some days I'm laid back like this. So what I've learned is whatever moment I'm in, be true to that moment. Like, I don't try to just come on here and be entertaining for the sake of being entertainment, because it's like, it doesn't come across as genuine. So, like, sometimes where people like Alex Jones and people of that genre, where they get themselves in trouble is, if you label yourself as such a dramatic person, the moment you aren't dramatic, people are let down. And no matter what, as a public figure, entertainer, you're going to let people down. And you may not grow as fast. My YouTube channel may not grow as fast. It may not be exciting, but I'm growing healthy. So one of my key messages in my videos is, amongst all the laughing, fun, and entertainment that we do, is a healthy you. Self-care, and not just doing things for the sake of growing, but doing things in alignment with your soul and in the place you are in that day. If you hate life, you say it, but you remain thankful. You make a video about it. If you are inspired about the beach, you make a video about it. If you love Florida, you make a video about it. If you are thinking about today, I want to make a video for someone down the road who's struggling and they search, can I save my marriage? I wanted to make a video to say, no, you can't, because if you make that statement, it's already been proven that you resent them and you can never change those feelings. However, that's my opinion, and ultimately each person has to ask if they can save their marriage or relationship or what they want to do with their life. But I at least want to give, to me, a seed of hope to say, look, I mean, how much do you want to suffer through life? Life is so much suffering that make it easier so you're more inspired and you can help more people. But you gotta start by saving yourself, helping yourself. You know what I mean? I understand that Jesus died for us, if you believe in that philosophy, but faith without works is dead, man. So if, like, you don't put in the work of your life, but you just have faith, your life is dead. You know what I mean? And your life is useless, not productive, to God or to whatever you want to believe. So it's a philosophy. Let's take a hydration break. Guys, if you appreciate the video, I appreciate if you click the thumbs up. Thank you again for the super chats of my two members, Ballin' Thug and Tom. I'll see you. Don't forget, every Sunday we're going to do members only chat on this channel. If you click that blue join button, you can become a member. You'll get a symbol next to your name. You'll get custom emojis, and you'll get access to the members only live chat. And we'll gradually build that over time. There's no commitment to it. You can cancel at any time. Let's take a hydration break. Bland, not disgusting. It's the worst feeling ever. You did the best you could. Yeah, it is, man. I mean, sometimes we fail. Life is failure. But that's okay. We do the best we can, and we, but it took me a lot. Tom asked, what time on Sunday am I going to do the live feed? I don't have an exact time, but I plan on doing it like my normal live feeds. Very much structured like my normal live feeds. I'm still going to pick a topic, but we're going to do obviously a lot more Q&A. It'll grow over time. The first one will probably be, it'll be a growing experience. But 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is going to be when I go live on Sunday for the members only chat. And that's when I go live every day around 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I know you're on Cali time. And then if my members want to give me a proposed time for a future live feed, I'm going to keep every Sunday as a consistent standard, but I'm going to add some sporadically additional member only chats throughout the week based on what my members want. So if there's a time window that works better for you, let me know and I'll take that under consideration for the future, and then we'll grow it organically like that so that everyone can get like their best time for them and I can be accommodating to them. But yeah, we'll go forward, guys. But yeah, what I was saying to Blanton, and then we're going to keep going live comments, is that look, in life, you fail and then you feel guilty, but you own it, you accept it, and you share it. Share your failures. Really, people don't want to hear your success. They want to hear your failure, because failure makes you human and it heals someone else. Very important, guys. Listen to this. Failure heals someone else. When you share your failure, it actually heals someone else who's very much hurt. It's good to share your success too, because it inspires people too. But, look, a lot of that, a lot of people are not going to be too successful. But what I'm here to tell you is successful is being healthy. So if you can heal someone by sharing a failure and it helps them to be healthier, that's success. And then if you want to grow from that healthy place and have a family, have a business, whatever, be a president, that's great. But you can't grow from a broken place, from an unhealthy place. Not in a good way. You have to build your foundation. You have to uproot all the weeds and get fertile ground. You know what I mean? And every renovation begins with demolition. And how you start to break down the old moldy sheetrock walls is through accepting the failure, sharing the failure, rebuilding on a healthy, healed soul. And then you just go forward one day at a time, one step at a time. For some people, it'll be good enough. For some people, it'll never be good enough. And that's what YouTube will show all creators, and it shows myself, is that I'm very cautious not to try to outdo myself. Like, obviously, I put some thought into making a video a little catchy and a little entertaining. At the same time, I'm very cautious on not like being like so over the top that I have to be over the top. You know what I mean? And if I am over the top, I'm really feeling it. You know what I mean? So that's important for my health and my well-being. And that's how I feel. Let's continue. Josh. Ghostface Killer. Yeah, interesting. Why is that? I love him, by the way, because I think he was more sincere in his outlook on humanity. And I think, look, sometimes what happens with very smart IQ people is they fuck up common sense and empathy. Very smart people have a very hard time being empathetic. They get common sense, but very intelligent people with IQ have very low emotional IQ. High intellect means low emotional intellect. So God gives us all certain gifts, right? So God may make you a rocket scientist. That's what Elon Musk is. He's a rocket scientist, literally. Okay, but he's not a therapist. He's not a humanitarian, right? So, but do I blame him for that? No, he's creating rockets, even though the government, the taxpayer, subsidizes SpaceX. So what he doesn't understand, if it wasn't for the common person working at Walmart, etc., paying taxes, the government would not exist. His rockets would not be funded. And on the foundation of SpaceX is NASA. NASA was a humanitarian mission formed by the government, by a collective society, not to launch rich fat people up into space and occupy Mars. Okay, Tesla was bailed out for the government because the government said, look, we want to try to get off fossil fuels, not so we can make self-driving cars for the rich elite and they can drive around the parking lot in their all blacked out Tesla rims and back up using autopilot. Okay, so he is a high intellect but low emotional IQ. And he's just a little bit out of balance. So, that's kind of how I feel. Let's continue. Tom said, didn't he name his kids some crazy name? Yeah, he's eccentric, man. Like, like 1 squared IQ. Like he named it. Yeah, look at what, guys, look. Disaster. But he does believe in minimalism. I mean, and he is doing good for society. So I don't want to start to go too far while I'm bashing Elon Musk, because he does believe in universal basic income. He is somewhat of a fair-minded man. But he's also could be an asshole to work for, like Steve Jobs. I remember being in Cape Canaveral in Florida, and I was looking at one time electrical engineer job in SpaceX. And everyone in SpaceX, if you look at Glassdoor.com, the reviews of working at SpaceX, they all say it's a horrible place to work, pretty much, because he's very demanding. Look, I wouldn't want to work for him. I wouldn't. I could work for him because I could work for anyone, but I think his environment that he sets is win at all costs, Michael Jordan mindset. Now you say, Sam, I love Michael Jordan. He's very entertaining. Yeah, but that entertainment, those 6 championship rings came at a price, treating his teammates horribly. Phil Jackson playing psychological games with fucking Bill Bushler and Bill Cartwright. I mean, come on, man. I don't know. I look at life differently to me, though. To me, life is more than championship rings or autopilot cars. However, I respect the good that Elon Musk does, and I don't take away from the value he adds to society. I'm just trying to say I don't put anyone on a pedestal. I don't put Ghostface Killer on a pedestal. I don't put Elon Musk on a pedestal. I don't put anyone. I don't put myself on a pedestal. However, I don't put myself beneath anyone. You know what I mean? And most divorces happen because you put someone on a pedestal. Some of my breakups are because I put a girl on a pedestal. And sometimes girls put me on a pedestal. And I always would tell a girl, like, look, don't put me on a pedestal. But sometimes, so when someone exalts you to a certain point, you can never save the marriage. Because if you're in a relationship where someone looks to you as a god, as their everything, as where they get their joy in their life, their inspiration from, that's an unhealthy, unbalanced marriage or relationship or work partnership or whatever. So that's kind of how I look at it. Tom, Blanton said love, and Tom said what time? Yes, I answered that, brother. Every night I go live around 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S., and every Sunday, members only live chat will be the same time. Sonia, what's up, Sonia? Good to see you. Now, I know Sonia struggles with, well, she doesn't struggle with, that's the wrong word. Sonia desires to be in a relationship, so let's see what she has to say. Relationships can run their course. Well put. People can outgrow another. Well put. By the way, Sam, happy Friday. 2 flower emojis. Well put, and a flower emoji to you. Fun fact. Did you know that Florida is Spanish for La Florito? Something like that. That means land of flowers. Florida literally means in Spanish, land of flowers. Why? Because of the tropical environment where the flowers grow all year long. There's never a fall. Fall season is when the weather gets so cold that the leaves and the vegetation die. In Florida, the leaves and the vegetation never die, and it's a tropical environment where you get to a rainy season, meaning that through June to October, there's a heavy rains, which keeps the land fertile. In parts of California and Arizona, there's not a lot of rain, and that's why you have the wildfires, because it's so dry. So every area and climate has a good and a bad to it. So like the Lord gave California a lot of sun and a lot of mild climate, but the Lord didn't give them rain. So the Lord gave Florida a lot of rain, but didn't give them low humidity in the summer. The Lord gave pork roll, egg, and cheese sandwiches to New Jersey, but didn't give good weather. So guys, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. The Lord gave Elon Musk good IQ, but low emotional IQ. That's true. Tom, thumbs up. Thank you, brother. Tom. Yeah, he named his kid something crazy. I heard him on Joe Rogan podcast. He said it's pronounced like X. I don't know, like Xander 1 or something like that. That was crazy. Josh, interesting. I remember Musk saying that being nice to coworkers is important. Have you heard stories of him being pushy? Yes. I read online. I don't want to say as bad as Steve Jobs, but on certain interviews I've seen online, I've never worked with him personally, so again, can I testify? No. But I think if you watch a collective group of people that interacted with Elon Musk, they all say pretty much the same thing, that he's eccentric, demanding, and can be harsh at times. That doesn't take away from his talent, his gifts, and the good parts about him. It's just a counterbalance. Josh. Also, yeah, I've heard some things about Steve Jobs. Not bashing, but his work environment seemed toxic. I agree. So we got the iPhone because of Steve Jobs. But don't forget, too, that Bill Gates bailed Steve Jobs out because Bill Gates gave Steve Jobs a loan when he was going bankrupt, or when Apple was. So a lot of people blame Bill Gates now for different things. I don't know why, but without Bill Gates, you don't have a smartphone. But look, a smartphone would have happened. Steve Jobs did not invent the smartphone. He invented, or he was one of the first to market with a high capacity application phone, a phone with apps and things like that. But those were already coming into existence. He kind of like pushed it very much forward. The same thing with Elon Musk. Elon Musk did not invent the electric car. The electric car has existed for almost like 50, 60 years. He pushed the goal, he pushed the mandate, he pushed the technology to a different level. But he didn't invent it, he just refined it and pushed it further. So same thing with Steve Jobs. But to do that, it was a little bit tough at times. Tom, it's going to be a bad fire season. Yeah, it's crazy. California has those bad wildfires, but like I said, every state has its good and bad points. Like you can live in Tennessee, but you can have tornadoes. You can live in Montana, but you can have brutally cold weather for 10 months out of the year. So whenever you're selecting a state, just remember that there's no perfect state. Now, for a nomad, you could travel and you could try to get the best of all the states or two states, and that's what it's called to be a snowbird. To travel south in the winter months and north in the summer months and try to maximize good weather all year round as best you can and get the best of the states and leave the bad. That's true. Josh, wow. Gates bailed out Jobs, also didn't know that. Yeah, look it up. I don't know all the facts, but from what I read, like a $300 million loan or something when Steve Jobs was struggling with Apple. Tom? I saw the movie Steve Jobs was the worst to family employees. Yeah, a lot of people testify to that, Tom. That's true. So I will say when he got cancer at the end, it seemed to bring home a level of humility. And to be fair, even in my own life, I look at times like I was probably a little bit nasty there or a little bit too arrogant. And when you have a health scare, when you get sick, you calm down. Like even now, there's even sometimes in YouTube, I wish I would, not been a little bit too rough on certain people. So, again, I can't exalt myself and say, if I look back at my own life, and everyone in this live chat, everyone who watches this video, we could all look back on our lives and say, look, we were not as best we could be here at that one point in life. But Steve Jobs did have a recurring pattern of being a very demanding, nasty person. Now, when he got sick and elderly, some of that skewed his perspective to be a little bit more empathetic, but I don't know, man. It's hard to figure out, but all we could do is say we want to be our best selves. We want to live a healthy life, and we have to forgive ourselves. We have to repent, and we have to try to refine ourselves and move forward. And that's the message tonight, guys, overall. Thank you for watching. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Love to you, Tom. Love to you, Ball and Thug. Love to you, everyone who left a message tonight. Thank you, Gangster Talk. Thank you, Infinity. Have a peaceful night, guys. It's Friday, so make the most of the weekend. Also, remember that it's Mother's Day on Sunday. If you have a mother, send her a text or give her chocolate and cheese. If you don't, if you have a bad relationship with your mom or if she passed away, God bless you. That's a very painful thing. Just do the best you can. One finger up, brother. And just be yourself. Don't try to outdo yourself. Be yourself. Everything will work out. Keep going forward, guys.